I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. I can ease one life aching or cool one pain. If I can help one fallen robin unto its nest again, I shall not live in vain. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching or cool one pain, if I can help one fallen robin unto its nest again, I shall not live in vain. If I can help one fallen robin unto its nest again,
I shall not live in vain.
I shall not live in vain.
Never live in
If I can stop one heart from breaking,
or ease one life the aching,
or cool one pain, I shall not live in
Keep one heart from breaking, save one life the aching.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Universalist Church of Rochester, where we are called to nurture the spirit and to serve the community. It is good to be together with you all this morning. I am Reverend Lane-Mairead Campbell, and it is my honor and privilege to serve as your settled minister here at First Universalist, and I use they, them pronouns. Joining me today in leading worship is Cass Bocanegra, using she and they pronouns as our worship associate. Our Voices of the Spirit Quartet doing music this morning, and Ann Rohde on piano. Thank you so much, using she, her pronouns. Jack Cunningham is holding down the fort first Sunday by himself, using he, him pronouns to provide tech support, connecting our online community and our in-person community, and Karen Labraco using she, her pronouns, holding it down for our online ministry team this morning. Wow, there are so many ways to make this possible. If you're here for the first time this morning, or even the second or third time, we especially welcome you. Thank you so much for making your way here to this worshiping community. We have a visitors form that can be found in the chat for our folks online, and that can be found in your pews for folks in person by scanning the QR code. Please fill out this form so we can offer you a welcome beyond this worshiping space. We offer a you session on the third Sunday of every month following the service in the back of the sanctuary, a question and answer time, or on what it means to be a part of First Universalist. The next one is on November 20th, Sunday, November 20th. Before we take a moment to turn to our neighbor, both here in this space and to turn to our neighbors online, let us take a moment here at First Universalist to turn towards our green camera over here by Jack and to greet our online worshiping community by offering a wave. Good to have you all with us. It's good to be here together. If you are online with us, please pop into the chat and offer a greeting. And if you're here in this space, please turn to one another and offer each other. Good to be together. I have a feeling, Anne, that this is one of your favorites too, isn't it? Yeah. All right, everyone, we are going to begin singing. We're going to sing hymn number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table, a lively tune. So please rise in body or in spirit and let's sing out this morning. It is a beautiful morning. Beautiful, please be seated.
Good morning. Our call to worship this morning. There we go. Leave the cape behind. Let the mask ease off your face. Leave behind the costumes of this past week. Arrive here just as you are. Let those super strong muscles relax. Allow your mind to release the worries. Let yourself just be here for a while. Look to your left and to your right. Those here in this space and on the screen with you are here with you. You are not alone. We are here together. And it is good to be together. So come, let us worship together. As Kitty lights our chalice at First Universalist Church, and you light a chalice in your own homes, will you join me in saying our chalice words in unison? May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Our affirmation of faith. Please rise in body or in spirit and join me in our affirmation of faith, followed by our doxology. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. Not one of us alone can uphold this church, and that is why we give. We give this morning together as a communal act of supporting this church. Through our gifts, we support many hands doing the work of justice, of welcome, of caring. Through each of our individual gifts, our offering transforms one person's generosity into a collective statement, into ways to nurture the spirit and serve the community. You are invited to give online in the offering basket or online by scanning the QR code in your pews or to drop an offering in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to the First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity.
I dream of a church where everyone is welcome. I dream of a place we all can call home. I dream of a world where justice is flowing, with hope and peace growing, and good work is done. I dream of a church where everyone is welcome. I dream of a place we all can call home. I dream of a world where justice is flowing, with hope and peace growing, and good work is done. Make it so, make it so. We'll work for a day, make it so. We dream of a world where love reigns us and good work is done. Let us make it so. Oh, love, fill our hearts to reach out and welcome. Make us to see your vision once more. Let's dream of a world where all hands hold all hands. We offer ourselves. Let us make it so. Make it so. Make it so. We'll work for the day. Make it so. We dream of a world where love reigns among us and good work is done. Let us make it so.
Wow. Wow, UURoc choir. Get it this morning. That was beautiful. Our story this morning is a story about an old Hasidic rabbi, one of the early Hasidic rabbis, Rabbi Zusha. Is anyone familiar with stories of Rabbi Zusha? Ooh, Dick Gilbert, of course. These stories are told by a rabbi, Elizabeth Dunster, who actually grew up here in Rochester. She grew up going to Temple Sinai and is now a rabbi, I believe, in North Carolina. So she kind of gives us a little bit of context first. Rabbi Zusha of Hanapol was one of the early Hasidic rabbis. He was born in southern Poland, also known as Galatia or Anapol, and he lived from 1718 until 1800. He was beloved by all. Every story of him tells of his love and his humor, his ability to see only the good in others, and his deep, deep piety. The stories of Zusha all describe a man who is also nothing if not authentic, possibly a little crazy too. He and his brother were both disciples of Rabbi Dov Ber of Mezrich, also a very famous sage. And the two brothers would travel around the countryside, teaching and speaking wherever they went. It was taught that when Zusha was young and in the house of his teacher, a man came before Rabbi Ber and begged him to advise and assist him in an enterprise. Zusha saw that this man was full of sin and untouched by any breath of repentance. He grew angry and spoke to him harshly, saying, "How can a man like yourself, a man who has committed this crime and that, have the boldness to stand before a holy man such as my teacher without shame and without longing to atone?" The man, as you might imagine, turned and left in silence. But Zusha regretted what he said almost immediately and did not know what to do about it. Then his teacher pronounced a blessing over him that from that moment, he might only see the good in people, even if a person sinned before his very eyes. Zusha's view of humanity was changed in that moment. No matter who stood before him, he only saw the good. Imagine how it might feel to walk through the world only seeing what is good in those you meet. On the one hand, what a relief. Zusha would only feel the goodness in the world. He would not have found fault with anyone. And those who met him felt that from him. They felt that he was responding to their best qualities. They felt loved by him and honored for what was really good and really special inside of them. This experience of being seen only for what is positive inside is very powerful. And when we cross people who see in this way, we tend to call them holy. I imagine this is the experience of people when they have met the Dalai Lama or the current Pope. Many people felt this way after meeting the recently deceased Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi, the founder of the Jewish Renewal Movement. An interaction with such a person who sees only our best qualities leaves us feeling changed for the better and also creates in us a great love for that holy person. But there was a downside to this blessing because, of course, the world has never been a place filled completely with goodness. Zusha did still see the sins of the people he met. The difference was that he didn't attribute those sins to them. He took them on and blamed himself for each and every one. He saw goodness in everyone and sin in himself. He spent his days and his time praying for the forgiveness, praying for the ability to change. One story has Rabbi Zusha coming to an inn, and as he looked at the innkeeper, he could see in his face the long years of sin. He and the innkeeper stood still looking at each other for a while, neither moving nor speaking, a little creepy. But then Zusha was alone in his room. And when he was there, the shudder of the innkeeper's life overcame him while he sang his prayers. In the midst of singing the Psalms, he cried aloud, "Zusha, Zusha, you wicked man, what have you done? There is no lie that failed to tempt you and no crime you have not committed. Zusha, fooling, erring man, what will be the end of this?" Then he listed the sins of the innkeeper, giving the time and place of each as his own while he sobbed. The innkeeper had quietly followed this strange man. He stood at the door and listened, and he heard him. First, he was seized with dismay, but then penitence and grace were lit within him. And as the story goes, he woke to God. One more story about Rabbi Zusha, which is often the one that gets told. As he prepared for his own death, one night he had a vision and he woke up afraid. His student The students said to him, what could you have to fear? You who have been as humble, as learned, and as true to God as Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher. Zusha turned to them and said, I am afraid because in my vision, I understood that in the world to come, I will not be asked why I wasn't Moses. I will be asked why I wasn't Zusha. And herein ends our tales for this morning, which we will come back to in a little bit. Dear ones, I want to invite you into this reverent time of sharing the joys and the sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like to, from wherever you are, you can place a hand over your heart to be able to listen from a heart-centered space. As Cass comes forward to place stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and the sorrows of our gathered community. All online are also invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. This morning, we have a joy from Carl Abbott. Our emergency donations of personal care items and cleaning products were received with gratitude and joy on Friday morning at the Nestor Street Food Cupboard. For those of you who are aware, the Nestor Street Food Cupboard had a theft last week, and this week had another theft. So our donations were well timed. Thank you. Thank you to all who participated, who came to drop off joys and sorrows here at the church this past week. We have a joy from Connie Volk this morning, who is grateful for the support of fellow First Universalists who attended the fundraising Harvesting Justice reception and dinner for Rural and Migrant Ministry on Thursday evening. Cass and I were both there too. It's good to be together. A joy from Nancy Gady that Carl was able to return to work at the Brighton Library. And a joy from Brian Moomey and Clinton Swingle. This Monday, tomorrow, marks the 25th anniversary of us meeting at the First Unitarian Church of Dallas, and we married in 2013. Happy anniversary, you two. A joy from Richard Reed that yesterday was the 150th anniversary of Susan B. Anthony voting in the presidential election and being fined $100 for voting illegally. We carry her name with us as it is alive and well in this city, and just holding that anniversary in our hearts. Joy for Marty Eggers. It was a joy to have my son Andy and grandson, oh gosh, with me yesterday for a too short visit. Sorry it was too short. Glad you could have the visit. From Bill Elwell, a joy that I got all my clocks reset. I hold the same joy that all of you, it seems to have turned your clocks. Oh, a sorrow from Lois Baum, my dear friend in Arizona, and my ex-husband suddenly homeless after house burned down. After house burned down. Oh, Lois, so sorry to hear that. So sorry. Holding him in our thoughts. We will drop one stone into the bowl to represent all of the joys shared by our online worshiping community. And we will drop a stone for the sorrows shared by our online worshiping community. And let us drop one final stone into the bowl to represent all the joys and the sorrows left unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. May all be held in the heart of love. Dear ones, I want to invite you into a time of prayer and meditation. To get comfortable in your seats, sit back, allow your weight to be held by your seat. If you can, place your feet on the ground and feel your connection to the earth. Take a deep breath and allow it to run through your body, into your belly, out through your mouth. Let us get centered. Today we share in a blessing for losers, for risk takers, for all failures far and wide. Blessed are they who fall in the mud, who jump with gusto and rip the pant, who skin the elbows and bruise the ego, for they shall know the sweetness of risk. Blessed are they who make giant mistakes, whose intentions are good, but impact has injured, who know the hot sense of regret and ask for mercy, for their hearts will know the gift of forgiveness. Blessed are they who have seen a D or an F or C or any letter less than perfect, who are painted with the red pen and the labels as less than, for they know the wisdom in the imperfect. Blessed are they who try again, who dust off, who wash up, who extend the wish for peace, who return to sites of failure, who are dogged in their pursuit. For they will discover the secret to dreams. Blessed are they who refuse to listen to the naysayers, for their hearts will be houses for hope. Blessed are they who see beyond the surface of another, for they will be able to delight in the gift of compassion. Blessed are they who stop running the race to help a fellow traveler, who pick up the fallen, who stop for injured life, for they shall know the kindness of strangers. Blessed are they who wildly, boldly abandon winning, for they shall know the path of justice. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. Let us take a moment in silent reflection to honor where we ourselves have fallen short, to honor the risks we take and the ways we keep hope alive. As we return from the silent meditations of our hearts, let us join in singing hymn number 402, From You I Receive. We will sing it 3 times through. I am looking ahead at this week, at what is to come this Tuesday. And I have to say, I'm a little bit scared. Doesn't sound like I'm alone in this room. No. It is election week. And I know so many of us have been sitting with the possibility of the changing shape of our elected landscape. Also with the possibility of the changing landscape for our state of New York. There are times when I feel frustrated and angry, and I want to pluck every single lawn sign I don't agree with off of my neighbors' lawns. I want to shake people and tell them about all the ways that what they believe and what they are voting for is wrong. I want to be like Rabbi Zusha in that first story. And I feel righteous sometimes in my anger. I know I am right. And then there are days when I just feel scared and overwhelmed. When I'm sitting in worry for the future of our country and for the future of our community. And so in comes this story of Rabbi Zusha, and I can so relate. I can relate to him in the moments when I wished I had something to someone I disagree with. I can relate in those times when I have wanted to take all the world's problems onto my shoulders. It is not that I profess to only see the good in others and to not see their sins. I wish I could tell you that. But I do struggle with taking too much responsibility for what those around me think and how they act. There are times when I feel like if I just could have said that one thing, maybe they would change their minds. Have you had these experiences with neighbors and friends with whom you do not politically agree? We can work so hard to change the minds of other people. And we can feel the need to take on so much. And I would be remiss in my duty if I was not here to remind you that this is how systems continue to perpetuate. The world's people feeling like if we were just good enough, if we had the right words or actions, we could save and salvage and correct. And while we are here and in our own homes being weighed down by the weight of it all, those who remain in power remain in power. Those who fund campaigns continue to not be held accountable. When we focus on the individual as our savior, whether ourselves or someone else, it is hard to see the whole network and system of people and financial institutions that benefit from our focus on the interpersonal. These systems that continue on unchallenged. The hymn we sing this morning reminds us, from you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. This song expresses the building blocks of community and collective action. We are here because we are not satisfied in this life to be and to operate alone. We are here because we know we are better together. We are a part of generations of people who have gathered here in this space and in this community, that not one of us can live this life in isolation. If you wanted to remain isolated this morning, you would have stayed home. But when it comes to the election, when it comes to issues of justice we are compassionate about, when it comes to work, or to our volunteer commitments, or even to our home lives, sometimes these are the hardest places to acknowledge that we are not alone. Sometimes these are rough spaces to remember we need help from one another. We will not get free on the labor of solely one person. We will not be able to turn the political tides with one perfect person to elect, nor one person to shift the entire headspace and heart space of this country that we hold great concern and love for. I don't believe I'm alone in that in this room. Our political landscape has always relied on the savior, placing so much pressure on elected officials to make promises we all know they can't realistically keep. But of course, politics are not the only place where the savior can be found. The archetype of the savior is written into many sacred texts and stories told in our society. The hero's journey, made visible by the work of Joseph Campbell, highlights this so well. And I'll just summarize it very briefly because I could, he's written lectures and books about this, but an individual rises up out of a community to have their worldview challenged and sets out to change the world, often following loss and deep disillusionment. Usually a mentor is involved along the way, and there are friends there to accompany them, enemies to challenge them and to help them learn. And in the end, they are the hero of the story. Folks come to mind when I think about this journey. I think of Jesus of Nazareth. I think of Luke Skywalker. I think of Bilbo Baggins. There's any other nerds in here? I'm wondering if there are any names that come to mind for you. Who have been some of the heroes that you recognize along the hero's journey, that have been on the hero's journey? Any names come to mind? John Lewis, Barack Obama, James Donovan, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Susan B. Anthony. So many heroes. So many folks we have looked to as some form of saviors. And too often, I focus so much on the individual. I wonder who those folks were that supported Susan B. Anthony in taking her stance. I think we know about Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. that so much of his work was supported by women and young people who didn't get the spotlight. There were folks there who were part of that movement cooking the meals. There were folks there who were part of that movement doing the behind-the-scenes trainings that weren't the public speakers. To return to our story this morning, I hear the call towards authenticity on the deathbed of Rabbi Zusha, and I appreciate it. This is the story told over and over again to invite us to reflect on how we are living our lives and how we are living our truth, and I do not want to dismiss that. each one of us recognizing where we can better ourselves. And yet, I wonder who joined with Rabbi Zusha along the way to help him become who he was. Certainly God was there, bringing a newfound awareness to the Hasidic rabbi. Certainly his mentor was there, offering the blessing. And there is also the innkeeper and the folks who were there and witnessed his life and witnessed the end of his life and continued to tell the stories. Those who wrote them down, those who continue to tell them today, and likely many more people along the way that he got to learn from. These are just the stories we know. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. In order to receive, we've got to ask for help. I wish I could tell you there was another way to do it. I have been so touched to see the outpouring of love from our church to the Nestor Street food cupboard, as well as to people who have been recovering from surgeries in our church community. Folks have been showing up. And I want to thank all who showed up for these opportunities and all who have showed up and all who will continue to show up, because that is what we do here. We show up for one another. And I wonder, I just want to give you a moment to think about it. When was the last time that you asked for help? When was the last time that you asked someone to show up for you? A moment when you were struggling and you needed someone, perhaps someone to talk to, someone to help with something you physically could not do. I imagine we have people here in this room and online on a spectrum, some who struggle to ask, and those who have no choice but to ask for help all of the time. If you have a hard time asking for help, if you have a hard time recalling an example, you are not alone. It is truly vulnerable to say, I cannot handle this all on my own. Or even, can you come over and listen to me? It is a risk, because you risk hearing, no, I can't. Or you risk folks not being able to handle things with you. It is such a human thing to struggle with asking for help. It is such a human thing in our culture and society to believe that we can on our own, that asking for help is a sign of weakness or even a lack of strength. It makes sense that we hold these beliefs when we are told that each person in these so-called United States are self-made. When we lift up the stories of individual historic figures and treat them like heroes without nuance or a broader perspective. When we here have inherited and swim in a theological legacy of individualism with a focus on the inherent worth and dignity of individuals, which leads us sometimes to misinterpret that this belief means that every person deserves the space to voice their opinions, even when those opinions cause harm. When we are taught to look at individuals as the source of change rather than the collective. When we are taught to make saviors out of the everyday person. This morning, I want to invite us to shed the savior. To shed the savior for ourselves. To possibly divest from the archetype of the savior in our lives. To shed the savior takes trust. It takes releasing the message that things are better done and more quickly done when I do them by myself, rather than teaching others how to do it. I don't know if you've ever said that before. I know I have. I just want to lift up, because this was the example that came to mind right now. We have a very small group of people in this congregation who are carrying our sound and our technical expertise, to whom we all owe a deep debt of gratitude. And I am worried about what happens if one of them gets sick. I hold the worry about the spirits of these experts who are working and working and working to make all of this magic happen, which it feels magical to me. If only one or two people know how to hold an essential function of our church, we are in danger, dear ones. One example, but one near and dear to my heart, one that I carry with me here every Sunday morning, and I imagine one near and dear to this community. Shedding the Savior takes collective action. It invites us to ask for help in efforts we are wanting to make happen. It invites us to ask for the care we need and to provide care when it is asked for. To shed the Savior is to release the expectation that someone is going to come along and fix the problem, and even to release the expectation that the one person to fix the problem is you. Let there be no capes nor masks that really need to keep each other safe this morning, nor even personas and single leader expectations. What we want to see in the world is going to take all of us, and likely many of us beyond this room. The hope is found in sharing out the work, in sharing out the knowledge, in sharing in experiences. You do not have to do the things you are doing alone. Take a moment to just pause for a second and think of one area in your life where you could use some extra help. One area of your life where you are showing up as an individual. I wonder who can help you with that. I wonder who you can ask to show up with you this week, in the coming days, in the coming months. As we prepare our hearts and bodies and minds and spirits for the collective action of voting and for the results of our democratic process here in Rochester, in the surrounding area and beyond, let us take heart in the relationships we have. Let us find places where we can both give and receive. Let us remember that not one of us alone is going to change the system, nor does that idea truly serve the change we wish to see in the world. Let us reach out for help when we need it. And may those around us be trusted to show up together, because that's what we do. We show up together. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. Our final hymn for this morning is hymn number 318, We Would Be One, a song about collective voice, a song of unity. And I just love that Finlandia tune. You just gotta love it, you know? So please rise in body or in spirit, however you feel comfortable, and let us join in singing 318, We Would Be One. remain standing as we extinguish our chalice flame this morning. As Cass comes forward to do so, let us read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. I'll invite you to place a hand over your heart wherever you are. Take a moment to look around and see who is here with you. For those on Zoom, please turn your view to gallery view so you can all look at one another. We see you here in the sanctuary. You are with us. Let this be the reminder that we are not alone. May we find the deep well and capacity in our hearts to ask for help, to give help, to go and vote this week, if you have not done so already, and to take collective action together. May we continue to show up together. May you know right here in your heart and in each and every day that you are loved. And may you go and be that love to whomever you meet. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.
The bright, the beautiful that stirred our hearts in youth, the impulses to wordless prayer,
The streams of love and truth, the longing after something lost, the Spirit's yearning cry, the striving after better hopes.
These things can never die.
These things can never die. The timid hand stretched forth to aid a brother in his need. A kindly word in grief's dark hour that proves a friend indeed.
the plea for
The
mercy
plea when justice threatens hard, the sorrow of a contrite heart.
These things shall never
These things
die.
shall never die, shall never die. Let nothing pass, for every hand must find some work to do. Lose not a chance to waken love. Be firm and just and true, so shall a light that cannot fade beam on thee from on high, and angel voices say to thee,
These things can never
These things
die.
can never
these things can never